Hello all, this is my next video in the series of clinically oriented anatomy case-based questions and answers with explanations which will help in integrating the knowledge of anatomy with clinical aspects. This video has a clinical scenario-based case followed by structured essay questions related to head and neck part 3. The case is a 41-year-old female is brought to the hospital by her husband. She has high-grade fever, orbital swelling, altered mental status, and severe pain in the eye and upper half of face. She has a history of sinusitis 10 days ago for which she was given antibiotics, but she did not complete the full course and is now presenting with these new symptoms. On examination, there is periorbital edema, ptosis, and ocular muscles palsy all on one side. So this case is of 10 marks. The questions related to this case are: 1. What is the most likely cranial venous sinus affected? What is this condition known as? So this is of 1 mark. 2. Based on these clinical signs, enumerate the nerves affected. So that is of 2 marks. Question 3. Explain the anatomical basis of the above condition, which is of 3 marks. And question 4. Illustrate the relations of the affected sinus with neat and labeled diagram, that is of 4 marks. So coming to question 1. What is the most likely cranial venous sinus affected? What is this condition known as? The most likely cranial venous sinus affected is the cavernous sinus. As we can see here, the cavernous sinus is a large venous space situated in the middle cranial fossa on either side of the body of sphenoid bone. The patient is suffering from cavernous sinus thrombosis or cavernous sinus syndrome, as we can see in this patient, who has a periorbital edema, swelling. Question 2. Based on these clinical signs and symptoms, enumerate the nerves affected. So the ptosis and ocular muscles palsy seen in the patient is due to the involvement of cranial nerves 3, 4 and 6, which are oculomotor, trochlear and abducens nerves respectively. Pain in the eye and upper half of face is because of the involvement of the ophthalmic and or maxillary divisions of the trigeminal nerve, which are the sensory nerves innervating this part of the face. 3. Explain the anatomical basis of the above condition. So this is a case of cavernous sinus thrombosis. The thrombosis of cavernous sinus may be caused by infection in the dangerous area of the face, in the nasal cavities and in the paranasal air sinuses. As in this patient had history of sinusitis 10 days ago, but it was not treated properly, and so the infection from this area spread to the cavernous sinus, leading to the involvement of cavernous sinus and its thrombosis. For this, we must know the venous drainage of the face. This is the facial vein which drains the region of the face. The facial vein is connected to the cavernous sinus via ophthalmic veins. The facial vein is also connected to the pterygoid plexus of veins via deep facial vein, and the pterygoid plexus of veins connected with the cavernous sinus via emissary veins. So infection in this area, dangerous area of face and the related surrounding regions may lead to thrombophlebitis of the facial vein, and this may spread to the cavernous sinus via these communications. So the patient initially had sinusitis, but later it had spread via these channels into the cavernous sinus, leading to cavernous sinus thrombosis or cavernous sinus syndrome. And this led to symptoms like nervous symptoms in the form of severe pain in the eye and face, in the area of distribution of ophthalmic and maxillary, which are the first and second division of trigeminal nerve, and ocular muscles palsy because of involvement of oculomotor, trochlear and abducent nerves that supply the muscles of eyeball. In addition, there would be venous symptoms, that is marked edema of the eyelids, cornea and root of nose with exophthalmos due to congestion of the orbital veins. In some patients, there might be communication between cavernous sinus and internal carotid artery because of head injury. In such cases, the eyeball protrudes and pulsates with each heartbeat, and this is known as pulsating exophthalmos. So illustrate the relations of the affected sinus with neat and labeled diagram. That is the next question. So this is the view of the interior of the cranial cavity. Anteriorly, anterior cranial fossa, then there is the middle cranial fossa and posterior cranial fossa. So the cavernous sinus is located in the middle cranial fossa on either side of the body of the sphenoid bone. Anteriorly, the relation will be superior orbital fissure and apex of the orbit. Posteriorly will be the apex of petrous temporal bone and the crus cerebri of midbrain. Inferiorly, there will be foramen lacerum and the junction of the body and greater wing of the sphenoid bones. So here we can see the cavernous sinus, one on each side of body of sphenoid. In addition to that, this is the diagram of the relations of the cavernous sinus. This trabeculated venous space is the cavernous sinus, one on each side. So the other relation, that is superiorly, will be the optic chiasma, optic tract. In addition to that, olfactory tract, internal carotid artery and anterior perforated substance. Medially, there will be pituitary gland, as we can see here, the hypophysis cerebri, and there will be sphenoidal air sinus. Laterally will be the temporal lobe with uncus, as we can see here. In addition to this, there are some structures which traverse the lateral wall of the cavernous sinus from above downwards. These nerves are oculomotor, that is cranial nerve number 3. Below that is the trochlear, that is cranial nerve number 4. Below that will be the ophthalmic, first division of trigeminal, and below that will be maxillary, second division of trigeminal nerve. So these 4 structures are there present within the lateral wall of the sinus from above downwards, and structure passing through the medial aspect of cavernous sinus will be internal carotid artery, and inferolateral to it will be the abducent nerve. So these are the important relations of the cavernous sinus. So thank you, and keep sharing, like and subscribe my channel if you benefit from the video, and look forward to more such case based scenarios involving clinical anatomy of all the regions of the body. Thank you.